Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Chris coming at you from the channel I Am Toys. This is, of course, yet another hard review. So make sure you hit the 4K option, hit in your YouTube settings so you get this in its full resolution, and also make sure that you like and subscribe, man. Share the videos. So this is a RZ H1 Escape Myers, or Asylum Myers, essentially from the Rob Zombie film, the first Halloween film. And I know that there are folks out there that are like, oh my God, this movie, it was terrible. Anyway, but a lot of people who used to say that have actually rewatched it years down the road. Same with the second film even, and they're like, you know what, this movie is actually better than I thought it was. And whether or not you like getting into the backstory or it taking some of the mystique out of the character, man, no one can challenge the fact that the brutality of this version of Myers was fantastic, man. It was really above and beyond what you would normally see, in the original films. There was just a more of a kind of shock, beastie fucking, aspect, to the character and to the components of, that way he presented himself, on the screen. And some people didn't like a lot of the backstory, the psychiatric hospital stuff, but it was cool for people who wanted to expand the story a little bit, you know what I mean? Right, Rob Zombie wanted to do his own interpretation of the movie, and that's what he did. He had a little bit more studio, clash on the second film, and I think that movie was kind of the bane of his existence to some extent in trying to make it. But it also came out reasonably well, because for me, I didn't necessarily like the second movie the first time I watched it, but then when I watched it again, I actually found that I actually quite dug it, later on, and it's been the same for a lot of other people. And the people that are never going to change their minds, they are never going to change their minds. So it's those folks are going to tune out of this video, and there's no convincing them otherwise as far as what this movie tried to do. But anyways, this is a custom figure done by Gallactible Collectors, also done by Tinela 6-scale tailoring, and I believe Dave also did some work in this as well, and also Julio over at Macabre. He also had his hand in it. Dan essentially did the weathering on the entire outfit. The robe itself was a different color. I believe the straps themselves were a lighter brown, and then the slippers itself were also a lighter color. So he weathered them, did what he needed to do, because the clothing for this movie, the robe is supposed to be a tattered, old kind of grayish, tone to it. And he facilitated that, got it to where it needed to be, got the slippers to where it needed to be. And again, tailoring clothes, all of that, the harness, that was all done by Tinela, made and provided. And like I said, Dan, weathered the straps more. He actually made the chains, and he also 3D sculpted the shackles too. That's actually around the ankles and the wrist. So Dan did a lot of work on this, man. And he also 3D printed the head sculpt, I believe. And then Julio over at Macabre, he did the paint on the mask, and then did the paint on the sculpt, and then the hair. And Dan essentially 3D printed the mask as well, and the sculpt. And I think I'm covering everything there. The base is a loose base that I had around, so that didn't come with the figure, but he stands well without a base too. But when you're doing reviews and I'm going to have this guy rotating around, I don't want him falling over, right? So anyway, that's kind of the basis synopsis of the figure itself. And I'm gonna start spinning him around, I guess, first, and then let you get some 360 views of him, just to get the overall picture of what he looks like. And then we'll talk about the figure a little more, pan him up and down, and you know the deal. So we'll see you on the other side. And here is the art box. Don't want to go away without showing you that as well. Nice little silhouette art on the front of it. This is your basic kind of flip out box, but awesome artwork chosen for the front of it. Didn't want to end the review without showing that. Sometimes I miss some of the basic stuff, man, when trying to do these reviews. Lots to set up and a lot to talk about, and sometimes you forget some important stuff. So just wanted to show you guys that before we moved on. So here he is, boys, as we go aerial here. So it's going to back out a little bit again, just show you him from this side, and then from the overall other side, just so you get an idea of the presence and just the stature of this guy, man. And everything, man, the proportions of this figure are wonderful, man. It scales really, really well with where the character should be, you know, just from top to bottom. And if I have time, I'll try to put him out next to the RZH1, you know, masked version that I have from Ones. Give you kind of an idea what that looks like. So you can see it looks really, really good. But again, you know, just some quick looks, you know, from side to side. So let's get in and kind of show you the details on the figure itself. So again, this base didn't come with the figure. You know, this is something I had. So, you know, you get the weathering on the feet, the slippers, Dan did all that, man. You know, he breaks out and he's obviously walking through grass in the street and whatever, man, you know, escaping, and that's why it's all dirty. You know, the chains, those are all done by Dan. And, you know, again, the wrist cuffs are also done by him as well, 3D sculpted. And, you know, the harness is done by Tinela, but weathered by Dan as well. You know, and I went through all that stuff already for you guys. But man, dude, and I'm not gonna take this off because again, some of these things are fragile and you don't want to fuck shit up. So Dan actually, and I'll throw the picture up here, under that wrist, you know, handcuff or shackle is the actual name band. And as you can see right here, has the name on there and everything. You know, no attention to detail missed, even though you're probably not going to see it per se. But if you did want to take off the shackle or something like that, and then have that, you know, the actual sleeve of the shirt pulled up, you could pull off that look if you wanted to. You know what I mean? But that's really, really cool that that's under there. And you know, again, just a fucking fantastic figure, man. And when you go underneath, man, I have it lit so you can see like the little twinkle in his eye, man. So it catches his eye. Yeah, man. That is just nasty. Just a mean fucking figure, dude. You know, Dan and Tinela and, you know, Macabre, man, the work all together is just a beautiful thing, man. And Dan did an excellent job, man. He also stylized the hair as well. Did a great job on 3D sculpting this mask and printing it. Julio did a great job painting it. And those of you who are wondering, you know, is he gonna take off the mask? Hell motherfucking no, I'm not. Because trying to get the hair right again, yeah, oh man, you don't want to go through that. So I'm gonna show you the picture right here. This is the sculpt underneath. Part of me wishes I had another figure so I could display it with the mask off, because man, you don't want to go back and forth taking the mask on and off. You really don't, because you may damage the paint, you may damage the sculpt, and you got to restyle the hair every time. And honestly, even having an alternate head, having an extra head, you know, even that is kind of a pain in the butt, maybe even too, because you have to keep popping the head on and off, and then you're going to be putting pressure on the body and the harness, and you know, he's got a shackle around his neck as well, and then you're just placing the figure at risk for more damage, basically. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're careful, it's not a big deal. But as a collector, and when you're taking these things apart and having to put them back together, it is, you know, definitely a little painstaking and gives you a lot of trepidation, we'll say. So I mean, you could do it if you want to do it. If you're that type of collector and you don't mind changing things over and over again. But you guys know me, man. I had two McCready's for a while because there was no way in hell that I was going to keep, you know, going back and forth, you know, switching stuff out. But in the end, I ended up selling my extra one. You know, sometimes your eyes are too big for your wallet, man. So I ended up selling my extra set. But this, I would probably like to have another one if I had the money, if the time is right. So right now, the money is not right to have another one of these. But the sculpt is great, man, underneath. So, you know, the work that was put into this, just fucking uncanny, man. It's just great. And he really screams the fucking character from the movie, man. Really does. So I'm gonna pan back out here a little bit, and we're gonna rotate this guy around from side to side so you guys can get the overall just dynamic of how fucking badass this figure is. Just all around, man. From side to side and from the back, and get the overall statures, you know what I mean? And the silhouette, and just the profile in general. You know, when you watch the movie, because you guys know I like having the figure out while I watch the movie, it just looks fucking so good, man. So, I'll see you guys on the other side. So here he is as he's rotating around. Look at this monstrosity, man. So good. Julio did a great job, man, at hairing this figure, and Dan did a great job of stylizing it, man, and getting it where it needs to be. And then, you know, I modded it a little bit more to where I wanted it. So those of you who have this run coming, obviously, you know, you can stylize the hair a little bit more too for what you need and your needs, or, you know, what you want to do, what you feel is better suited. But man, just overall, I'm gonna back up here a little bit more. Just the stature, man, of this figure all the way around is fucking badass. I mean, you even get, you know, the robe tied all the way to the back. It's awesome, man. Just again, the profile and the stature of this figure. You know, it's a Tyler Main. It's an excellent, excellent work. Man, look at that shit, dude. Just fucking badass. You guys get a nice 360-degree view. How mean that is, man. I'm telling you, the body chosen for this was excellent. Excellent all the way around. And the hair just sits so well, man. Just natural. Fucking so good, man. So shout out to Julio. Julio! Man. And then as he comes back around, we'll give you some looks at the COAs. How many of you out there hope that somehow Rob Zombie makes a third film, man? I know a lot of people want to see Maine back again, but technically I think he's supposed to be dead though, so I don't know how they would bring him back. I love that Tinela includes like the samples of the clothes on her COAs. It's awesome. And then Dan gives you this cool clear card. It's signed on there, you know, and then you have like 2 of 10 or 2 of 14, 2 of 15 or whatever, you know, is kind of what those will look like on future runs. So it's cool. They're simple. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be crazy. But I'm loving it, man. So shout out to Dan for incredible work on this, and everybody, Tinela, Julio. This is by far one of the best releases that he has come out with. You know, so other stuff that's in the works, man. There's a baby face coming at some point. I don't know if I was supposed to mention that, so I may have ruined a little bit of a surprise. But let's just say there's some cool stuff, man, coming. Some cool stuff. And just a little bit of overhead love. Man, just mean from all directions. Man, it's such a badass figure, dude. You know, I made my mistake of fucking selling my RZH1, you know, the first time. And then I bought it back from Dan, and then I sold it because I had another version eventually coming, but I still wanted to keep that one because there was things that I liked about that one as well. And I had a version of Escape Myers as well from another artist, C Creations, but I ended up selling that one. You know, so these figures, man, I ain't doing it again. Not happening, man. Not happening. The RZH1 I got now, the regular mass version in this, shit ain't going nowhere. So that's it, folks. Hope you enjoyed this review. Oh shit, no, I'm not done. Halt that. I'm gonna show you this figure next to the RZH1 I have real quick. Hopefully they don't fall down. And here they are, boys. Side by side. And for those of you who are like, wait a minute, he's taller than the other one. So you gotta remember, man, later on in the movie, he's wearing combat boots. See those boots, man? Technically in real life, they're gonna stack you up at least by another inch, half inch, 3/4 of an inch or something like that. So yeah, gonna be a little taller. You know what I mean? So, but the bodies, everything scale well, man. I mean, he's essentially over here in the Escape version in his bare feet, basically. He's wearing some fucking thin ass slippers. So, you know, they're gonna be off as far as the height a little bit. But man, I hope someone at Universal says, you know what, after we've pissed people off with Halloween Ends, which honestly, there are aspects of that you can enjoy, you know what I mean? So it wasn't a total fucking shit show like a lot of people think it was. But since people were so mad at that, you know, maybe Universal will be like, you know what, let's give Rob Zombie another film. Bring back the brutality of Myers and let people get the kills that they want. But then you'll have the other people saying, well, no, just bring back a traditional Myers. Can't win, right? I don't know, bring back both, man. Shit, let's do both. Man, they look good together though, man. And I have them on both on their shelves, a shelf of their own, top shelf, 2 detolfs right next to each other. And they look good that way. The RZH1 comes with a Dio, the one on the left. So he's got to be on his own shelf together. But again, shout out to Dan, man. Great work. Shout out to Tinela, shout out to Julio. Just fucking badass, man. Everyone should be excited to see what's more to come. All right, folks. Deuces.